What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so, this is an article that was on fadeawayworld.net. I saw Ticket TV talking about this last night. So, this is actually not shocking to me, because I read about this about 10 years ago. Because I think they got divorced February 2013. Yeah. So this is something I read about closing in on 10 years ago. So none of this is news to me. About his ex-wife here. I think her name is Amy. I think it's Amy. So he was married to her, I think, for about 12 years, from 2001 to 2013. And you know, Tim Duncan's a very private dude. They seem to be a great couple, I guess, what have you. But then she abruptly filed for divorce back in 2013. And then all these allegations came out even back then about Tim Duncan. And they all were from her. But they went nowhere in the media. Because then again, 10 years ago, the media was a little bit different. The media's become a lot more salacious, a lot more tabloidish now. We were starting to get like that 10 years ago, but, you know, I guess out of respect for Tim Duncan and his stature as a player, these things really didn't go much. They didn't really stretch or permeate, I guess the best way to look for it, outside of, you know, the gossip column in the blogosphere. So maybe a lot of people weren't familiar with this information, but I was. That she accused Tim Duncan not only of cheating, but cheating with a man. Alright? Now, who that man is, I don't know if there's information been put out there. Maybe there's rumors. But I've always read, ever since before he was divorced, actually, or before she filed for divorce, I had read rumors that Tim Duncan was, you know, on both sides of the spectrum. I read that. And I really, you know, I didn't really give a shit. Because that's his personal life. He don't flaunt it. He's private. You know what I'm saying? So for all that shit to be coming out by her, it's fucked up. Because I'm assuming when you get married to somebody, right? One of the factors in that is trust. That person's supposed to be your best friend, not just your lover, but your best friend. You're supposed to put her. It's funny when you get married, you're supposed to put her on a pedestal, but isn't she required to do the same? Doesn't say that anymore. It seems like marriages. I'm sorry, man. This is just my personal belief. Marriage is starting because of the modern day American woman. And I'm not talking about every woman that's listening to me. But because of the consistent selfishness and recklessness of a lot of American women who I think have been ruined by this perversion and the feminist movement, which is not about equality, but female supremacy. And honestly, even though a lot of women accuse men of being misogynist, if anything, many women are virulent misandrists who hate men. And these are the ones pushing this agenda. But yeah, like, honestly, I'm starting to see marriages becoming antiquated. So the men who have found good women, man, I salute you. Because, man, like, this is ridiculous. Now, look, Tim Duncan is wrong if he was doing that while he was married. But if you married him knowing he was like this, and you were accepting his behavior, then you condoned it. Then, you know, I'm assuming the timing, I'm looking at the timing, right? I'm assuming that I'm just going to make the assumption that she divorced him after whatever would have been his last big contract, right? So that makes sense, right? So, anyway, I'm just, I don't know, man. I'm just disgusted more in her than Tim. I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm just disgusted with her, man, because while I gotta be careful how I say this. While there are certain things in life that I don't think should be glorified, right? It's just my personal opinion. That should have been between them. That should have never gotten out. And that's the problem that I'm having with women like her. Even though, you know, she's not going to get the same smoke because of how she looks. I don't see what's different between her in some ways and what that chick did to Zion. Even though what she did was just just way out of line. But still, the fact remains that you don't have no business putting these guys' business out there. All to slander them. Why? Clout chasing? Well, I mean, what the fuck is this shit, man? Now look, this actually happened 10 years ago. Now I'm pretty sure Tim Duncan has moved on, but there's a reason why Tim Duncan is private, I guess now, because it makes sense. So, I don't know, man. I still think of him as a great player. The fact that he kept that to himself, I'm not going to hold that against him. I'm not going to judge him. I'm not going to bring it up because he didn't mean that to come out. So, that's just my stance on that. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he was one of these guys running around wearing that shit on his chest and then you get criticized for it, then when you put that stuff out there, then you're open to be criticized, and you can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? You can't be an activist for something, and then when you get pushback from people who don't agree with a certain lifestyle, then you get mad. But Tim kept that shit to himself. She put that shit out there. From what I read now, she put all that shit out there. Now, I remember some other stuff too. It was a whole bunch of other stuff that I read about Tim Duncan. I'm not even gonna put out there. But I do want to end this video saying this. It's real interesting that there's this push to, now that you got all these young players who are being slandered, right, by these Instagram thoughts and porn stars, it's just interesting that some butthurt millennial is digging through, social media history to bring up some old shit from our players to try to slander them. You see what I'm saying? You think I don't peep that shit too? Yeah. Fuck it. We don't give a fuck because Tim Duncan ain't fucking put that shit out there. And he was a 5-time NBA champion and he's the greatest power forward of all time. So yeah, in his life he did some shit that we wouldn't condone, or some of us might not condone. Possibly, some of us, our opinion. But at the same time, you can't take his greatness away from him. Now Zion, on the other hand, and DeAndre Ayton, these niggas ain't do shit. Matter of fact, considering they were like number one overall picks, I think both of them, they've underachieved. So yeah, the criticism is valid there.